Hi, welcome back to the Cemetery of Choice, where we look at cases of women who died from abortions both before and after widespread legalization. Uh, Hoping we can learn a little bit about this from this about how to protect women. And today is July 30th, and my source for today is actually a pro-choice source, and I am not too proud. I am not above using pro-choice sources if they're properly documented. And I will get to that in a moment. So, the Seattle Civil Rights and Labor History Project has a page called When Abortion Was Illegal and Deadly, Seattle's Maternal Death Toll. So they're clinging to that idea that somehow abortion was only deadly when it was illegal and was only deadly because it was illegal. And that's a whole nother topic. But they note that Claudette, a 23-year-old Black woman, was a student living in Seattle. She died on July 30th of abortion complications. A 22-year-old woman named Mayetta Scott admitted to assisting in preparations for the abortion to be perpetrated in Claudette's apartment. And that's a little bit, if we look, I've talked about abortions done in like the 20s and 30s and even into the 1940s, where doing that in somebody's home was not as shocking and weird as it seems to us now. Back then, I have a maternity nursing book that from the 1930s that tells you how to set up an operating room in the woman's kitchen to perform a C-section. But by the 1960s, this was a bit odd. And it's weird that this is in Seattle. When you're in a city, there's doctors. Hello, 90% of women were finding doctors. I don't know why Claudette didn't find a doctor. But police arrested Mayetta Scott and charged her with second-degree murder. But the jury believed her defense that nothing she had done had caused Claudette's death, so they acquitted her. And the project cites 3 Seattle Times articles, which I haven't been able to get copies of. They do include, let's see how long this takes, they do include an actual clipping. So major, major kudos to them. That's a bit of a weird thing for them to do, and I'm grateful for it. Because this is something that drives me crazy. Usually a pro-choice site and pro-life sites will do the same thing. They'll just copy and paste a blurb and they won't attach the source material. And a lot of time there is no freaking source material. I went crazy looking for source material for one of the deaths, Pauline Shirley. And let's bring this up. So, there's this little blurb, the typical blurb from an abortion rights website. Pauline Shirley and her 6 children were living with her mother in Arizona while her husband sought work in California. After an illegal abortion, she began to hemorrhage and was hospitalized. She needed massive transfusions. While Pauline's mother searched the community for donors, Pauline bled to death. Okay? And there was no such thing as a pro-choice website that had any substantiating documentation. Why? Well, I found Pauline's death certificate, and it does not confirm an induced abortion. What it notes is incomplete abortion, spontaneous with a question mark. An abortion is the medical term for miscarriage, and I think a lot of these illegal abortion deaths were miscarriages where somebody in the family saw the word abortion and just latched onto it. That happened in the Becky Bell case, which I'll get to in a bit. So it looks like Pauline died from a miscarriage, but the medical examiner wasn't 100% sure. The section of the death certificate that has information for external causes of death is blank, which means there were no signs that anybody, Pauline or anybody else, used any kind of instruments on her. So there is zero, 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 zero evidence that she sought out an illegal abortion that injured her. Now, this doesn't 100% rule out abortifacients. She might have taken something. But even then, the coroner would have been trying to find out who provided it, because they would be guilty of murder. So if you'll follow the link, I've got a copy of her death certificate where I marked what was accurate in yellow, where there was a minor difference like spelling, and then there was a moderate difference. But the important thing is that there was no evidence of an induced abortion. Now, the other death that I just want to smack abortion rights people over is Becky Bell. Becky died of the same strain of pneumonia that killed Jim Henson back in, I think it was 1988. Was it? Yeah, 1988. Okay. And you look, even Wikipedia claims that she died of complications from a septic abortion. And in this case, I blame the coroner for that, because I have read this autopsy, and I've read hundreds of autopsies of abortion deaths, specifically abortion deaths. And pathologists have reviewed this, and there was no evidence of anything other than a miscarriage and pneumonia, the same strain of pneumonia that killed Jim Henson. So Becky Bell died from an abortion, so did Jim Henson. Okay. Now, for some reason, the medical examiner put septic abortion on the autopsy report, and Becky's parents latched onto that. You know, they're looking for an explanation as to why their teenage daughter died. That's understandable. But the Feminist Majority Foundation got hold of them and did not disabuse them of the fact that Becky had just died of pneumonia and she miscarried. And I've got a link to something that breaks down everything that's in the autopsy, everything that's in the story, that explains why clearly it wasn't an abortion that killed Becky. So you can go to that and read all of that. They wanted a dead teenager that they could use, not Becky's parents, the abortion lobby wanted a dead teenager they could use to fight against parental involvement laws. And I mean, to this day, Becky is the closest that they've ever been able to come to a teenager who died from an illegal abortion because she was trying to skirt parental involvement laws. And skirting parental involvement laws, they get a judicial bypass all the time. These abortion clinics have friendly judges. They have somebody who takes the girl in. Are you sure about your decision? Yes, I am. Sign, rubber stamp, boom, go get your abortion. Okay? It's not difficult. And a lot of clinics don't even bother. She can walk in with the 37-year-old gym teacher who got her pregnant. He can go, oh yeah, I'm her dad, and sign off. And they're not going to care. Abortion clinics do not turn paying customers away, except in very, very rare instances. And that's a whole nother thing. But I mean, Wikipedia even goes to all the trouble of debunking the debunking. The abortion lobby holds on to this poor girl's corpse with the tenacity of a horde of starving zombies. And it's because they need her in order to try to fight parental consent laws. And I look for them. They're looking for them. If there was one, surely one of us would have found it by now. So, again, big kudos to the Seattle Civil Rights and Labor History Project for properly documenting what happened to Claudette and the other women whose deaths are on their website. I use them as a source. Like I said, I'm not too proud. And this is why I show you my sources, so that you're not just taking my word for it. You know, am I getting this from a newspaper article? Am I getting this from an autopsy report? Am I getting this from court documents? And this is just a good habit for everything, not just abortion. Somebody tells you a story, what are their sources? And are their sources credible? And in this case, the Seattle Civil Rights and Labor History Project got it right.